Hello everyone, this is Aparna Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of CUC, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So in this video lecture, I would like to begin with Module 4, that is Classification, from the subject Data Mining and Data Warehousing. So in the previous lecture, we have completed Module 3, that was Association. In this video lecture, we will be beginning with the new module, that is classification. So let us begin. Let us go through the topics to be covered in this module. So we have decision tree induction, method for comparing classifiers, rule-based classifiers, nearest neighbor classifiers, and finally Bayesian classifiers. In this video lecture, I would be discussing about decision tree induction. First of all, what is classification? Let us understand what is classification initially. Okay, so classification is the task of assigning objects to one of the several predefined categories. Okay, so task of assigning objects to one of the several categories. Example, determining spam email messages based upon the message header and footer. Okay, so when we have receive emails, okay, we can classify whether that email is a spam email. Okay, we can check if it is a spam email. So this classification we can do based upon the header and the footer content of the email message. Next example, classifying galaxies based upon their shapes. So based upon the shapes, we can classify the galaxies. Categorizing cells as malignant or benign based upon the results of MRI scans. So based on the MRI scans, we can classify the cells as malignant or benign. So these are some examples of classification. Okay, so classification, we will be doing it in our day-to-day life. Okay, it is used to take certain decisions. Based on the classification, we can perform certain decisions we can take. Okay, so it plays an important role in our day-to-day life to make certain decisions. These are some other examples or real-world examples of classification. A bank loan officer wants to analyze the data in order to know which customer are risky or which are safe loan applicant. So, based on the customers who applies for loan, okay, so the customers who apply for loan, okay, you want to classify them, okay, whether it is safe to provide a loan for that customer or whether it is risky to provide loan for that customer. So a bank loan officer wants to classify a customer, okay, over here based on whether it is safe to provide loan for that customer, okay, or whether it is risky. So a bank loan officer wants to analyze the data in order to know which loan applicant, okay, your customer is loan applicant, are risky or which are safe. One more example here is a marketing manager at a company needs to analyze a customer with a given profile who will buy a computer. So, a marketing manager, based on the customer profile, he wants to classify him as whether he will buy a computer or yes, he will buy a computer or no, he will not buy a computer. Okay, so based on his profile, on the customer profile, a marketing manager can classify whether he will buy or not buy a computer. Next, definition of classification. Classification is known as the task of learning a target function that maps each attribute set X to one of the predefined class label Y. Okay, so learning a target function which will map an attribute set, okay, set of attributes to one of the class labels or to one of the predefined class labels Y. See this model. So this is the classification model. It is treated as a black box. Okay. So here the input to this model is the attribute set X, and the output of this model is a class label Y. Okay. So classification model takes input attribute set X and assigns the attribute based on the attribute, it will assign it to one of the class label. Okay. The important data for classification is the collection of records. So the most important data for classification is collection of records. Each record, also known as an instance or an example, is categorized by a tuple X, Y, where X is the attribute set and Y is the special attribute designated as the class label. So here they are telling, to perform classification, the input data is nothing but a collection of records. Now, among these records, each record will have a tuple. Okay, tuple in the sense each record will have a row. Okay, a tuple with pair X, Y. Okay, where X is the attribute set. Based on this attribute set X, you will assign the record to one of the class label Y. Okay, so X is the attribute set, Y is the class labels. So based on the attribute set X, you will assign that record to one of the class label Y. Okay, so this is classification definition. A classification model is useful for the following purposes. Let's see what the purposes are. First one, descriptive modeling. Okay, so in other words, I can also tell that a classification model is of two types. The first one is descriptive modeling. A classification model can serve as an explanatory tool to distinguish between objects of different classes. Okay, so it can be used as an explanatory tool to distinguish between objects of different classes. Second type of model is predictive modeling. Okay, so a classification model can also be used to predict the class label of unknown records. So predictive modeling is nothing but you can use classification to predict the class labels of unknown records. Okay, so any record you can classify it. Okay, you can predict the class label of unknown record. So two uses of classification: descriptive modeling and predictive modeling. In descriptive modeling, the classification model serves as an explanatory tool to distinguish objects of different classes. Okay, in predictive modeling, you can predict the class labels of unknown records. A classification model can be treated as a black box that automatically assigns a class label when presented with the attribute set of unknown record. So this is what I said. So based on the attribute set of the unknown record, you can assign a class label. Okay, so that classification model is treated as a black box. Okay, its working is determined only based on the input and the output. When I tell about a black box, you don't see its inner working functionality. Okay, you can describe that model based based on only on the inputs and outputs. So here we call a classification model as a black box. Let us see this example of classification of vertebrates. So what is a vertebrate? A vertebrate is an animal with a spinal cord surrounded by a cartilage bone. Okay, so let us see this example over here. Here they are giving different names of the vertebrates, and you will classify the vertebrates. So these are the different names of the vertebrates, different types of vertebrates. Now these vertebrates, you will classify them as whether they are mammals, reptiles, fish, amphibian, birds. Okay, so the different vertebrates you want to classify whether they belong to the class label mammal, reptile, fish, amphibian and bird. Okay, so see here, this is the training set. Already they have classified. Here we have first is a human. Okay, human, there are different attributes. Okay, for each record, as I already told, you will have different attributes. Okay, and you will have a class label. So for human, for these vertebrates, the different attributes are body temperature, skin cover, gives birth, aquatic creature, aerial creature, has legs, hibernates. Okay, so based on the different attributes, you can classify the vertebrates whether they are mammals, reptiles, fish, amphibian or birds. Okay, here first record you see human, body temperature is warm blooded, skin cover is hair, gives birth yes, aquatic creature no, aerial creature no, has legs yes, hibernates no. Okay, hence we can classify them as mammals. Next record you see here python. Okay, body temperature cold blooded, skin cover scales, gives birth no, aquatic creature no, aerial creature no, has legs no, hibernates yes, hence you can classify them as reptiles. Next record you see salmon, body temperature cold blooded, skin cover scales, gives birth no, aquatic creature yes, aerial creature no, has legs no, hibernates no, hence we can classify them as fish. See here, whale, body temperature warm blooded, skin cover hair, gives birth yes, aquatic creature yes, aerial creature no, has legs no, hibernates no, hence you can classify them as mammals. Okay, here you see penguin, body temperature warm blooded, skin cover feathers, gives birth no, aquatic creature semi aquatic, aerial creature no, has legs no, hibernates no. You can classify them as birds. So this is the example of vertebrate data set. So this the first table over here is the training data set. So this is the training data. Training data set. by using this training data set, we will classify this test data set, or we will assign a class label to this test data set. Okay, this is the test data set. Over here you see you have one vertebrate, that is Gila monster. Body temperature is cold-blooded. Skin cover is scales. Gives birth? No. Aquatic creature? No. Aerial creature? No. Has legs? Yes. Hibernates? Yes. Now you want to assign a class label, whether it belongs to mammals, whether it belongs to reptiles, whether it belongs to fish, whether it belongs to amphibian, or whether it belongs to bird. So you want to assign one of the 5 class labels. So this is the test data set. Okay, this is the test data set. Okay. Now you want to assign a class label to the test data set by using the training data set, or you want to classify the test data set by using this training data set. So let us see how we will be doing it. So given a collection of records, that is a training set, each record contains a set of attributes. One of the attribute is a class. Okay, so see here, this is the training data set. Okay, given a collection of records, that is the training data, okay, which has attributes, and one of the attribute is class label. Okay, that is, each record contains a set of attributes. One of the attribute is the class. Find a model for the class attribute as the function of the values of other attribute. Now our job is, we have to find a model, okay, for the class attribute. By using the values of other attributes, we have to find a model for the class attribute. Goal is, previously unseen records should be assigned a class as accurately as possible. Okay, so for a previously unseen record, we should assign a class label as accurately as possible. So in this example, for this Gila monster, I should assign a class, okay, which is as accurate as possible. A test set is used to determine the accuracy of the model. Okay, the previous example we have seen the training set and a test set, right? Now this test set is used to determine the accuracy of the model. Usually the given data set is divided into training and test sets, right? The given data set is divided into training and test sets, with the training set used to build a model and the test set is used to validate it. Now our job is to build a model. Okay, now to build a model, we should use the training set as input to build the model. Okay, and once the model is built, we have to validate this model, okay, whether that model is working properly or not, by using the test set. Okay, so here main goal is to build a model by using the training set, and next to validate if this model is working properly or not by using the test set. Okay, so this was about classification. A classification technique or classifier is a systematic approach to building classification model from an input data set. Examples include decision tree classifiers, rule-based classifiers, neural networks, support vector machines, that is SVM, and naive-based classifiers. So these are the different types of classifiers. Okay. Now using this classifier, we will be building a classification model. Okay. So the different types of classifiers are rule-based classifier, neural networks, support vector machines, and naive-based classifier. In this module, we will be studying this rule-based classifier. Okay. Also, we will be studying naive-based classifier, and also we will be studying one more type of classifier, that is a nearest neighbor classifier. Okay. So rule-based classifier, Bayesian classifier, and nearest neighbor classifier we will be studying in this module. Okay. So examples of different types of classifier. Each technique over here, each of these classifiers employs a learning algorithm to build a model that best fits the relationship between the attribute set and class label of the input data. So each of these classifier will have a learning algorithm, or will use a learning algorithm to identify a model that best fits the relationship between the attribute set and the class label of the input data. The model generated by a learning algorithm should both fit the input data well and correctly predict the class label of records it has never seen before. So once the model is generated, okay, by a learning algorithm, it should both fit the input data well. Okay, input data should be fitted well inside the model, and also it should correctly predict the class labels of the records which is never seen before. So unknown records should be classified properly, or the model should be used to predict the class label of unknown records. Correct? That was about predictive modeling. Okay, assigning the class labels for unknown records. So that model should correctly predict the class label of unknown records or records it has never seen before. Right? Let us illustrate this classification model over here. Okay, here can you see we have to build a learning model, correct? Using some learning algorithm, we have to construct a learning model. Okay, so the input given to this model is a training set. Okay, training set is given as input to the learning model. Okay, now this training set, if you see, it consists of attributes and class label, correct? So each record, there are 10 records over here. Each record consists of attributes and class labels. So there are 3 attributes, attribute 1, attribute 2 and attribute 3, and there is a class label. So using these attributes, you will assign a class label to the record. Okay, and there are 2 class label, one is no and one more is yes. So based on the attribute set, you will either classify them as no or you will classify them as yes. Okay, so see the first record here, attribute 1 is yes, attribute 2 is large, attribute 3 is 125K. Then you will assign the class label no. See the 5th record here, attribute 1 is no, attribute 2 is large, attribute 3 is 95K. So you will assign the class label yes. Again see the 10th record here, attribute 1 is no, attribute 2 is small, attribute 3 is 90K. Hence you will assign the class label Y. So this is the training data set. Okay, this training data set you will give as input to the, it is induction or it is given as input to the learning model. Okay, So once the learning model gets this input, that is the training set, it will use the learning algorithm. Using this learning algorithm, it will construct a model. Okay, it will construct the model. So the learning model will take as input the training data set, and by using the learning algorithm, it will construct the model. Next, it will apply this model. Okay, to classify the test data set. Now this is the test data set. Okay, so the test data set is validated by using this model, or this model you will apply, okay, to the test data set, that is to classify or assign class labels to the test data set. Here you can see in the test data set the class labels are not known, correct? Here they have put question mark. Question mark means the class labels are not known. So you want to assign class label to this records. Okay, that class label you will assign by using this model, or the model you will apply to, or you will validate the model by using this test data set. So see here, classification model. To build a classification model, initially the training data set is given as input. Okay, now this learning model will construct the model by using a learning algorithm, and the training data set, it will construct a model. Next, that model you will apply to the test data set. The model is constructed by using the training data set, and the model you will apply to classify the test data set. Okay, so this is how the classification model is built. Next important term is a confusion matrix. So a confusion matrix is a table that is often used to describe the performance of the classification model on a set of test data for which the true values are known. Okay, so a confusion matrix is nothing but it is a table, okay, used to describe the performance of a classification model. So you want to test the classification model, you want to test the performance of the classification model. Okay, just like how we will test your performance based on internals and externals, just like that we want to test the performance of the classification model. So in order to test the classification model, and you know the test data, you on a set of test data which the true values are already known. Okay, you already know the true values of the test data. See, there is a test data. Okay, there is a test data. You already know what are the class labels of this test data. Okay, or you already know what are the true values of the test data. True values or class labels are already known. You want to test whether the model is working properly or not. Okay, you want to test whether this classification model is working properly or not. So you will test the performance of the classification model on the set of test data for which the true values are already known. So you will test the model, and this model will give you some predicted values. See here, I want to test the performance of this model. Okay, so I will validate this model by using this test data. And this test data's true values I already know. Okay, now I will validate the model by using this test data and I will get the predicted values. So these predicted values I will compare with the true values or the actual values. If both are same, okay, that means this model is predicting correctly or this model is performing correctly. That is what they are telling. See this table here. There are two classes, class 1 and class 0. Okay, so actual class also there are two classes, and a predicted class also has two classes, class 1 and class 0. So here F11, okay, if the actual class label is 1 and the predicted class label is also 1, okay, here there are two class labels, that is 1 and 0. Okay, the class labels over here are 1 and 0. If the actual class label is 1 and the predicted class label is 1, then it is F11. It is represented as F11. It is predicted correctly. Okay, see here, actual class label is 0. Okay, and the predicted class label is also 0. So, it is F00, that is, it is predicted correctly. Okay, see here, actual class label is 1. Predicted class label is 0. Over here, it is not predicted correctly and hence it is represented by F10. Okay, similarly see here, actual class label is 0 but predicted class is 1. Okay, here also it is not predicted properly. It is represented by F01. Okay, this is the confusion matrix. Okay, that is used to describe the performance of the classification model on a set of test data for which the true values are known. So that is about confusion matrix. We need to construct a matrix like this. I will erase this thing. Okay, next very important term that you have to know is accuracy. Okay, so accuracy is given by number of correct predictions divided by total number of predictions. Okay, now which are the correct predictions over here? Which are the correct predictions? F11 and F00 are the correct predictions, correct? So total number of correct predictions divided by total number of predictions. So F11 plus F10 plus F01 plus F00. These are the total number of predictions. So this is accuracy. Number of correct predictions divided by total number of predictions. Next important term is error rate. Okay. Now error rate is given by number of wrong predictions divided by total number of predictions. Here, which are the wrong predictions? F10 is wrong prediction. F01 is also F10 is wrong prediction. F01 is also wrong prediction. So, number of wrong predictions, that is F10 plus F01 divided by again the total number of predictions. That is F11 plus F10 plus F01 plus F00. This is error rate. So, you know what is the confusion matrix now. You know what is accuracy, number of correct predictions divided by total number of predictions. You know what is error rate, number of wrong predictions divided by the total number of predictions. Next, classification techniques. So, we'll see which are the different techniques used for classifications. So, first one is the decision tree based methods. Second one is rule based methods, memory based reasoning, neural networks, Naive Bayes and Bayesian belief networks, support vector machines SVM, So that was about the classification techniques. We will be studying decision tree based methods. Among these, we will be studying the decision tree. We will be studying the decision tree methods. Okay, rule based methods we will be studying. Naive Bayes and Bayesian belief networks we will be studying in this module. Next, decision tree. So first let us see what is a decision tree. Okay, now a decision tree performs the classification in the form of a tree structure. So the name itself tells, using a tree structure you can perform the classification. It breaks down the data set into small subsets, and a decision tree can be designed simultaneously. So it recursively breaks down the data set into small subsets, and a decision tree can be designed simultaneously. The final result is a tree with decision node. The goal is to create a model that predicts the value of a target variable based on several input variables. So this is the goal, to predict the value of a target variable based on several input variables. The tree has three types of nodes. So there are three types of nodes in the decision tree. A root node that has no incoming edges and 0 or more outgoing edges. So first type of node is a root node. Internal nodes, each of which has exactly one incoming edge and 2 or more outgoing edge. So one incoming edge and 2 or more outgoing edges. That is the second type of node, which is internal node. Third one is leaf or terminal nodes, each of which has exactly one incoming edge and no outgoing edge. So in the leaf or terminal nodes has only one incoming edge and no outgoing edge. So these are the three types of nodes in the decision tree. A root node, internal node, and finally a leaf or terminal nodes. In a decision tree, each leaf node is assigned a class label. Okay, this you have to remember. Each leaf node has a class label assigned. The non-terminal nodes, which include the root and other internal nodes, can contain attribute test conditions to separate the records that have different characteristics. Okay. So leaf node is assigned a class label. Okay, leaf node is assigned a class label. Internal node and a root node will have this attribute test condition. Okay, this attribute test condition is used to separate record that have different characteristics, or it is used to branch or partition the records based on the different characteristics. Okay. So we'll see what those attribute test conditions are and what a class label is. Okay. Consider this example over here. Now this is the training data set and this is the decision tree, or this is the model over here. Over here the model is a decision tree which is being constructed by using the training data set and by using the learning algorithm. We have constructed this model, that is decision tree. Okay. Now see here, this is the training data set. We have three types of attributes here: homeowner, marital status, annual income, and defaulted borrower. Now, who is a defaulted borrower? First of all, okay, a defaulted borrower is the one who fails to repay a debt, including interest or principal on a loan. So a person who takes loan from the bank but fails to repay the principal or the debt. Okay, he fails to repay the loan back. Okay, or he does not repay it correctly. Okay, so he is called as a defaulted borrower. Okay, a person who takes loan from the bank but does not repay it correctly. So here the class label is defaulted borrower. Okay, no, he is not a defaulted borrower, or yes, he is a defaulted borrower. So you want to classify it into two classes, no or yes. Okay, based on whether he is a defaulted borrower or no. Here the attributes are homeowner. So these are categorical attributes. You have two values, yes and no. Second attribute is marital status. These are also categorical attributes. You can categorize them as single, married and divorced. Okay, or divorced. Third attribute over here is annual income. Okay, this is a continuous attribute. You have income as continuous values over here. Okay, so by using the training data set, we can construct this decision tree. Here, see here, if you see, homeowner is equal to yes. Okay, first attribute over here. Before that, let us see this decision tree. This is the root node over here. Okay, this is the root node. Okay, these two are the internal nodes, and these are the class labels which are assigned to the leaf node. Okay, here for this training data set we have only two class labels, correct? We have either no or we have yes, correct? So the class labels that are assigned to the leaf node. So these are the leaf nodes. These are the leaf nodes, and this is the root node over here, and these two are the internal nodes. As I've already told, in the leaf node you will be assigning the class labels. In the root and the internal nodes you will have the attribute test conditions. Okay, in the root and in the internal node you will be testing the attributes. Okay, first attribute that is used is homeowner. Okay, in this attribute if you see, yes, if the homeowner attribute value is yes, okay, only these three values are there, right? For yes, then directly the class label is no. See here. So all the attribute values, that is all yes, have the same class label no. Correct? So directly you can tell homeowner is yes means you can directly assign the class label no. But then see the next other records. Now these exclude these records. Okay. So once you have assigned homeowner is equal to yes, class label is equal to no. Okay. The number of records are less. Okay. Now you have to consider the remaining records. These three records are already assigned. Class label no. Okay. They have been classified correctly. Okay. Now you have to examine the other records. So the number of records are decreasing in each iterations. Okay. Now you see the homeowner is equal to no, class label is equal to no, and some places homeowner is equal to no, the class label is equal to yes. Okay, so for homeowner is equal to no, you can have more than one class labels, right? For homeowner is equal to no, you can have more than one class label. So now what you have to do, for homeowner is equal to no, you have to test one more attribute. Because homeowner is equal to no, you have two class labels. Homeowner is equal to no, it can be either yes or it can be no. Correct? So what you have to do is, for homeowner is equal to no, you have to test one more attribute. That is the marital status. Okay. Now marital status is married means, see, only homeowner is equal to no and marital status is married. So this one, this is homeowner, yes. So we don't consider that record. Homeowner is equal to no and marital status is married. One more is here. Homeowner is no, marital status is married. Okay. see the defaulted borrower is no, defaulted borrower is no, and defaulted borrower is no. So homeowner is equal to no, marital status is married means directly you can assign the class label no. Since all of those records belong to the same class label no. Okay. So homeowner is equal to no, marital status is married means directly we can assign the class label no. Now homeowner is equal to no, marital status is single or divorced. So marital status is single or divorced means, see here, single and divorced means these ones, correct? Homeowner, sorry, this one you don't consider. This one you don't consider because homeowner, yes, it is already classified. So you don't consider this record. Okay, because homeowner, yes, means it is already classified. Homeowner is equal to no, marital status is single. Homeowner is equal to no, marital status is divorced. Homeowner is equal to no, marital status single, and homeowner no, marital status single. Now if you see the number of records is again it is decreased, right? Now homeowner is equal to no, marital status is single or divorced. It can be either no or it can be yes, correct? It can be either no or it can be yes. So what you have to do? Again you have to test one more attribute. One more attribute is annual income. So you will test the annual income. Okay. You will test this annual income whether it is less than 80k or whether it is greater than or equal to 80k. So homeowner no, single, less than 80k, correct? 70k is less than 80k. So it is homeowner, class label is no. For this homeowner no, divorced, annual income is greater than 80k. So class label is yes, correct? Next you see this record, homeowner is no, homeowner is equal to no, marital status single, annual income is greater than 85k, so it can be assigned class label yes. Homeowner is no, marital status single, and annual income greater than 80k, so you can directly assign class label yes. So homeowner is equal to no if he is single and divorced, okay, and if your annual income is less than 80k, then class label is no. Homeowner is no, marital status is single and divorced, annual income is greater than or equal to 80k, class label is yes. Okay, this is how you will construct this decision tree by using the training data set. Now once we have constructed this model, our next job is to validate this model by using the test data set, right? So let us see that. Before that, there is one more example of a decision tree. Okay, that decision tree that we have constructed in the previous slide, this is one way of decision tree. You can have some other ways of constructing the same decision tree. So let us see that. See here first they have considered the marital status. Okay, in the previous model, first they had considered the homeowner. Here first they are considering the marital status. Marital status is married means directly it is class label no, right? Marital status is married means directly it is class label no. Yes or no? Directly it is class label no. See here. This is one more way of constructing that decision tree model. Okay. Next, if marital status is single or divorced, class label can be no or it can be yes. Correct? So what you do? You test one more attribute over there. Check the homeowner. Again, if homeowner is yes means directly class label is no. Correct? Homeowner is yes means directly class label is no. Yes means it is no. Marital status yes means directly class label is no. Correct? Directly class label is no. If if homeowner is no means and if he is single or divorced, homeowner is no. Okay, there can be two class labels at this point. There can be yes or there can be no. So again you test that attribute based on the income. Whether income is less than 80k or whether it is greater than or equal to 80k. So this is one more way of constructing that decision tree. You can represent that or you can construct that model in this way also. Okay. Now decision tree classification task. This was the training data set. Using this training data set, we have constructed this decision tree model. That is by using the tree induction algorithm and the training set as input to the learning model, we have come up with the decision tree model. Next, our job is to apply this decision tree model to validate the test data set. So we have to validate or classify this test data set by using the decision tree model. So applying the model to test data, you start from the root node. So homeowner over here, as I told that time, next we have constructed the model. Next we have to validate the model by using the test data set, right? So see, they have given the different values for attributes over here. Our job is to assign a class label for the class defaulted borrower. So we have to assign the class label for this particular class, that is defaulted borrower. Okay, so whether it is yes or whether it is no, we have to assign one of the class labels, right? Okay, so here they have given homeowner is equal to no. Homeowner is equal to no means you will come here, correct? Next you are checking the marital status. Marital status they have given it is married. So marital status married means directly class label is no. So you will assign the class label no to this class, that is defaulted borrower, because based on the values of the attributes. So based on the values of these attributes, you will directly classify defaulted borrower as no for this particular test data. That is what they are telling. First homeowner is no. Okay. Next you will test the marital status. Marital status is married. If it is married, directly you will assign defaulted borrower is equal to no. Okay. Next, let us see the characteristics of decision tree induction. Decision tree induction is non-parametric approach for building classification models. Finding an optimal decision tree is an NP-complete problem. Many decision tree algorithms employ a heuristic-based approach to guide their search in the vast hypothesis space. So, as we saw in the previous slide, there can be more than one model constructed. Yes or no? For the same training data set, we saw more than one model can be constructed. So you have to select the best model. Okay. Now, how to select the best model? We can tell that it is the best model if it has less number of test conditions. Okay, if fewer attributes are tested, so if the number of test conditions are less, then we can say that it is the best model. Okay, that is what they are telling. We need to find an optimal decision tree. Techniques developed for constructing decision trees are computationally inexpensive, making it possible to quickly construct models even when the training set size is very large. Decision tree, especially smaller sized trees, are relatively easy to interpret. Accuracy of the trees are also comparable to other classification techniques for many simple data set. So this is one more characteristics of decision tree induction. Next, let us see which are the other characteristics. So decision trees provide an expressive representation for learning discrete values. Decision tree algorithms are quite robust to the presence of noise, especially when methods for avoiding overfitting are employed. The presence of redundant attribute does not affect the accuracy of decision trees. Since most decision tree algorithms employ a top-down recursive partitioning approach, the number of records becomes smaller as we traverse down the tree. So these were some of the characteristics of decision tree induction. These algorithms, that is the decision tree induction algorithms, usually employ a greedy strategy that grows the decision trees by making a series of locally optimum decisions about which attribute to use for partitioning the data. So as we have already seen, we make a series of locally optimum decision, correct? Based on which attribute you need to partition the data. So there are many algorithms for constructing the decision tree. Hunt's algorithm, okay, CART, ID3, C4.5, SLIC and SPRINT algorithm. So these are the different algorithms for constructing the decision tree. Let us go through one algorithm, that is Hunt's algorithm. So here we are just discussing the Hunt's algorithm for constructing the decision tree. So this is the training data set they have given. So Hunt's algorithm grows a decision tree in a recursive fashion by partitioning the training records into successively purer subsets. Let dt be the set of training records that reach a node T. Okay. Now dt here dt is the training data set. Okay. So this is dt over here. This is dt. Set of training records, okay, that reach at node T. General procedure is that if dt contains a record that belongs to the same class yt, then t is the leaf node labeled as yt. So in this training set, okay, if we see that the records, if the record belongs to the same class yt, then t is the leaf node. T is a leaf node labeled as yt. Here as we saw, all homeowner is equal to yes. Okay. All the records having the value homeowner is equal to yes, directly its class label is no. Correct? So in that case, you can have just one leaf node, okay, with the class label no. If dt contains records that belongs to more than one class, use an attribute test to split the data into smaller subsets, recursively apply the procedure to each subset. As we already saw, in each set, in each step, the number of records keeps decreasing, correct? We get subset of records. Now see here they are telling that if the attributes belong to more than one class. Now here if you see here, homeowner is equal to no. Okay, see this, homeowner is equal to no. So homeowner is equal to no means there are more than one class labels. It can be either no or it can be yes. Correct? So for homeowner is equal to no, there are more than one class labels. Correct? It can be no or it can be yes. In that case, you need to test one more attribute. That is another attribute. That is either it might be marital status or annual income. Correct? So if a record, if a record value has more than one class labels, okay, we need to test or use one more attribute to split the data. So if DT contains a record that belongs to more than one class, use an attribute test to split the data into smaller subsets. That is what they are telling. So this was about Hunt's algorithm. Okay, these are the steps to construct the Hunt's algorithm. Now let us apply Hunt's algorithm to this. So initially we just have one class label, that is defaulted is equal to no. Okay, we have created for homeowner is equal to yes. Okay, all homeowner is equal to yes. We just have one class label, that is defaulted is equal to no. So for homeowner is equal to yes, you just have one leaf node with the label defaulted is equal to no. Next, homeowner is equal to yes means directly defaulted is equal to no. Homeowner is equal to no, you have assigned it default is equal to no. Correct? In the second step, homeowner is equal to no, defaulted borrower is no, you have assigned. But over here, for homeowner is equal to no, the defaulted borrower might be no or it might be yes. So you test one more attribute, that is marital status. So homeowner is equal to no, again you test the marital status. So if the marital status is married means, see here, homeowner is equal to no, marital status is married. Where else you have? Here you have. And also here you have. Correct? Homeowner is equal to no, marital status is equal to married means defaulted borrower is no. Correct? So directly you assign defaulted borrower is equal to no. Now homeowner is no, marital status is single or divorced. Homeowner is equal to no, marital status is single or divorced. You can have two class labels. Either it can be no or it can be yes. Correct? It can be no or it can be yes. In that case, you need to test one more attribute, that is annual income. See here. Marital status is single or divorced means you need to test the annual income. So again, if the annual income is less than 80K, if the annual income marital status is homeowner no, marital status is single, okay, annual income is less than 80K means class label is no. Okay, so defaulted is equal to no. Marital status no, homeowner no, marital status divorced, annual income greater than 80K means class label is equal to defaulted borrower is yes. That is the class label you are assigning. So here also homeowner no, marital status single. Okay, you test the annual income. If it is greater than 80K, okay, then class label is yes. Okay, so this is how you will build the decision tree by using the Hunt's algorithm. Okay, so in the Hunt's algorithm, basically two steps that they are using. Okay, if all the records belong to the same class label YT, then T is the leaf node as YT. Okay, if a DT contains records that belongs to more than one class, if DT contains records that belongs to more than one class, then use an attribute test to split the data into smaller subsets. Okay, and this you have to recursively do the procedure for each subset. This was about Hunt's algorithm. Next, we saw how to construct the decision tree by using that algorithm. Next, tree induction. Now, the tree induction uses a greedy strategy. Split the record based on an attribute test that optimizes certain criteria. So, this is the greedy strategy we are using for decision tree induction. What are the issues? Now, using this greedy strategy, there are certain issues. Let us see them. Determine how to split the records. First, you need to know how to split the records. That is, how to specify the attribute test condition. How to determine the best split. How to find out which is the best split. Determine how to stop the splitting. So, how you need to stop the splitting, that also you need to find out. So, first issue, that is determine how to split the record. That is, how to specify the attribute test condition, we will be seeing in the next slide. And after that, we will also be seeing how to determine the best split. So first, let us see how to specify the attribute test condition. So, how to specify the attribute test condition? So that depends on attribute types. So there are different types of attributes. You know, that is binary, nominal attributes, ordinal attributes, continuous attributes. We have already seen these type of attributes in module 2, right? What is a binary attribute? It can only have two values, either true or false, correct? Or yes or no. The outcomes of binary attribute is only two. Okay, only two outcomes it can have. What is a nominal attribute? For example, ID, age are nominal attributes. What are ordinal attributes? Ordinal attributes are the one that preserve the ordering property. Okay, if they have ordering property, then they are called as ordinal attributes. And finally, continuous attributes, we can call it as floating point or numbers, we can call as continuous attributes, right? So, depends. So, to specify the test condition, it depends on attribute types. Also, it depends on the number of ways to split. So, number of ways to split, either it can be two-way split or it can be multi-way split. Okay, these are the number of ways to split, two-way or multi-way. Next, let us see attribute test condition for binary attributes. As I told you, for binary attributes, you can have two outcomes. Okay, see, this is an example for binary attributes, that is body temperature. Body temperature has two outcomes. Either it can be warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Okay, so there are two outcomes for this attribute, body temperature. Hence, we can call it as a binary attribute. Splitting based on nominal attributes. First one, multi-way split. Use as many partitions as distinct values. So, nominal attributes means values are distinct, correct? ID, if I call it as a nominal attribute, you will have distinct or unique values for IDs. So, you should use as many partitions as distinct values. So, here, marital status, you have three values, correct? Marital status is a type of nominal attribute. Okay, and the three possible values for this attribute are single, divorced, married. Okay, so these are the three values for marital status: single, divorced, and married. So based on each of the values, you will have a split. So this is multi-way split. You have three values for marital status, so you have three splits. Next one is binary split. It divides the value into two subsets. Now, in binary split means only two splits. So, it will divide the value into two subsets. See, now this multi-way split, you can convert it to binary split in this way. Okay, either marital status, you can split it into two subsets. One is subset is married and one more subset is single and divorced. Or you can also split it in this way, that is Marital status single, one split. One more split is married and divorced. So this is a way in which you can convert a multi-way split into a binary split. So it will divide the values into two subsets. Or also you can divide marital status as single and married into one split and divorced as one more split. Okay, so these are the type of different binary splits that you can apply to this multi-way split. Splitting based on ordinal attributes. So whenever you have ordinal attributes, one important thing that you have to remember is maintaining the ordering property is important. So the ordering between the attributes is very important. So you should always preserve the ordering when you are splitting based on the ordinal attributes. So let us see here. Multi-way split use as many partitions as distinct values. So shirt size, you can have, these are the ordinal attributes, correct? Shirt size is an ordinal attribute because you have ordering here. So shirt size can be small, medium, large and extra large. So in multi-way split, you can have as many partitions as distinct values. How to convert this multi-way split into binary split now? Divide values into two subsets. Preserve the order property among the attribute values. So this is very important. Preserving the ordering property among the attribute values. See here. So this multi-way split, I can convert it into binary split in this way. Small, medium, one split. Large and extra large, one more split. Okay. One more way of converting that multi-way split into binary split is small as one split and medium, large and extra large as one more split. Now see here. Now if I split like this, small and large as one branch and one more branch is medium and extra large, I am violating the ordering property, correct? Here small large is one branch, medium extra large is one more branch. Here the ordering is lost, correct? So this grouping violates the order property. So this is wrong. You shouldn't split ordinal attributes like this. When you are splitting the ordinal attributes, always you should maintain the ordering property. Splitting based on continuous attributes. Different ways of handling. Let us see the different ways of handling the continuous attributes. First one, discretization. Discretization to form an ordinal categorical attribute. Static discretize once at the beginning. Dynamic ranges can be found by equal interval bucketing, equal frequency bucketing or clustering. So that was about discretization. It can be either static or it can be dynamic. Next is binary decision. Okay, that is you have this test conditions here, a less than the value, attribute less than value or attribute value greater than or equal to the value. So consider all possible splits and find the best cut. Can be more compute intensive. So two types of handling continuous attributes, either discretization or binary decisions. So discretization to form an ordinal categorical attributes, and for other type of attributes you have this binary decisions. Test condition for binary attributes. This is binary split and multi-way split. See the annual income. Here you test annual income less than 80k. Yes means one branch, no means one more branch. So this is two-way split or binary split for annual income, whether it is less than 80k or no. This is multi-way split of continuous attribute. Here you can see you are splitting here based on many conditions. Less than 10k, 10k to 25k, 25k to 50k, 50k to 80k and last branch is greater than 80k. So here you are splitting based on many splits, correct? Okay. So you have many tests here, less than 10k, 10k to 25, 25 to 50k, 50K to 80K and greater than 80K. So this is how you will split the annual income based on multi-way splitting. So this was about test condition for continuous attributes. So that was about today's lecture. In the next class, we will be studying about how to select the best split. Okay. I hope you have understood all the concepts. If there is any doubts, you can ask me in Google Classroom. So thank you.